What is going on, everyone? I think it's one of those things many photographers deal with. We take photos, we go out and we think they're amazing. We come home and sometimes we're disappointed. And that's where I'm at with the series of photos of this bird. And I want to show you maybe an example of how you could bring a photo back from the dead, maybe a little bit, especially when you're kind of pushing things. So this photo, I actually shot a series of photos. This is the series, but I think that was probably the best one. I like how that bird, this some kind of tropical birdie bird, is kind of looking up where the light source is. So, I was seriously at the extreme limits of my camera. I was using the Fuji X-T4 with the 100 to 400. So I was dealing with a maximum aperture of 5.6. And although I wish I could say I was out in the jungles of South America capturing birds, I would just be completely useless at something like that. So I went to the zoo. The Omaha Henry Louis Zoo is pretty cool. So it was indoors, so I was pushing the settings of the camera, right? I was at 5.6, which is wide open at 400 millimeters, and my shutter speed is right at 125, which, I knew everything was going to be a little bit darker. I wish I could get a little bit slower than that, but also I was dealing with animals and some things that are moving around, so I thought 125 was at one of the lower parts of my shutter speed to be, good for this situation. Then the last thing is the ISO. I had it at 800. And I probably could have boosted it up a little bit more, but 800 is fine. So, you can just kind of clean things up. So I wanted to kind of get the best base image I can. And I think I did a decent job of getting that. I shot in RAW, but when I saw the photo in Lightroom, I was like, man, there's no way I'm going to fix that because that bird in real life is just incredibly vibrant, incredibly red. It, just comes out at me, but the light was kind of on the wrong side, but whatever. This shot is decent, but let's try to save it. So the first thing I could say is that the background's fine. We don't really have to worry about the background. But luckily, we have Lightroom's ability to perhaps isolate the subject with the mask. So I'm going to go over here to the masking and click subject. It detects the subject. Now, it did detect that bird pretty well, but it detected a bunch of other stuff too. We're going to click on the minus sign right here, and then we're going to remove the parts of the mask that we don't want. So I'm just going to do that right now. And we're going to get rid of most of that really quickly. And we're going to call it a day. I don't need to worry about the bottom of that bird. That's what I'm worried about. Okay. We'll just do that. Okay, now we're done. So I probably could have left some of that in there, but I'm not worried about that at the moment. I could always add to my mask later. So now that I have the bird selected, what we're going to do is we're just going to see what happens. We're going to boost the exposure by itself. And that's looking a lot better already, right? And I'm going to boost the whites a little bit more. And then I wonder what would happen if I increase the contrast a little bit to kind of that eye. I can work on that eye. And then we're going to go into the point color. Where's point color? There it is. Select a color. We're going to select right there. And then we're going to go to the luminance to brighten just the reds up. And that looks too much. But that right there is kind of cool. That's pretty wicked. And let's go ahead and look closer at this. That's not bad. I don't like the contrast on the eyes right there. Oh, yeah, and you can see that harsh transition right there. So I'll have to make sure I fix that. So we're going to go back to the masking tool, and we're going to fix that real quick. I'm going to go to the mask, and we're going to add to that mask with the brush tool. And then if I do Control plus or Command plus, I can make a more refined edge here to get the part of the bird that was missing completely. That's probably good. We can add it to that. Yep, see it added up a little bit. Okay, now we're pretty good. So I'm going to do Command minus to zoom out, and let's just go. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so we've got that, and I think the bird's shadows could be lifted. Oh my goodness, just a little bit, and then I'm going to increase the darks. Like that. And now that part of the bird's mouth there that's like white, it's way too blown out. So I'm going to remove that part from the mask as well. And we're going to paint that so it's not all blown out and it has a little bit more contrast to it. Dude, that's looking pretty legit. There it goes. And then it's a little bit, see how it's blue? Oh, the whole photo needs to be warm still. That's why. The beak should not be blue like that, I don't think. So we're going to now, because everything is a little bit cooler, we're going to go and we're going to just warm everything up. And look at that. Now, last thing, I'm very happy with this. I'm a very fast editor, usually. I don't spend a lot of time with my stuff. I get it to look as good as I can get it, and then I move on because I have way too many photos to mess with. I have 90,000 photos in Lightroom right now, and that's not my drives. I have none of my bigger folders in there. But anyways, so I don't take a lot of time editing each image. I get them to be really good, and then I'm done. I don't like how there's low contrast in this bird's eyes. So I'm going to go into that bird, and I'm just making a new selection, and it's going to be a brush, a small one, and we're just going to paint the eye. That whole area there is a little bit low contrast, something like that. And then I am going to lower the blacks in that spot. I need it to blend more, and then something like that. I'm going to make that smoother. And before and after. Last thing is because this was shot at ISO 800, pushing the camera as much as possible, we are going to throw in some of that enhanced denoising that Lightroom actually does a pretty incredible job most of the time. We're going to do that. And then we still might do one more thing after I see it. So I'm just going to enhance it. It's going to go and run it through. It's going to combine the photo, or it's going to stack the photos, basically group them in Lightroom. So you can always go back to your original RAW file, your Adobe, the Fuji RAF file. But what it does is it creates a Adobe DNG file. See how they're stacked right there? It says 2. If I double click, I can look at my original and then the one that was enhanced. And I can exit out of there. And we're going to look at how that looks compared to, look at that. That looks incredible. I got a weird thing right there. We're going to remove, heal that. And then I do think that even though that bird looks pretty awesome and there's good contrast in here, we're going to go in and we're going to, where's it at? We're going to go to the shadows. So I need to go back to that original mask, and I'm going to see about boosting the shadows just a little bit more. No, you know what? We're going to create a new mask, and we're going to leave the top of that bird alone. So we're going to go to a new mask, and that's a new mask. And I'm going to do the feather quite a bit. There, something like that. And then we're going to paint the tummy area of that bird. I'm a professional bird expert, so I know that the proper term is tummy. And that's about all we're going to get. I really wanted to increase a little bit more, but that looks pretty good. You know, the light's on the other side of this bird, so we're kind of cheating things a little bit. And that looks good. See how it does go into, you know, some pretty dark darks, the deep blacks, but there's some good color transition that goes into some nice vibrant red that really pops. The beak looks good. Everything looks good. I think this looks pretty fantastic. Maybe a little bit warmer. I sometimes go too warm. Maybe like that. Yeah, maybe that. Lately I've been going too warm, so I'm trying to cool off sometimes. And okay, last thing. Let's throw a vignette on this sucker. A small one, slight. So we go right there. Love it. So let's look at the before and the after. That looks pretty good. You know, one of the things we could do too is Shift Command Copy. I'm gonna copy all this except for including mask 1, which was the auto mask where I asked it to define that bird. The other 2 masks were manual masks, so it'll put it in the wrong spot. I'm gonna copy all this and I'm gonna throw it over here on this one. And it's creating the mask. It's doing everything. Look at that. Try it here too. Oh, see, oh, it got the wrong mask. That one did not work at all. I think my settings were different on this. Yep. See how I was, this is me working, right? I'm out and I see this cool bird and I know that 1/250 is just not cutting it. That bird is just going to be lost to too many darks, right? Even if I paste my settings, it's just a little bit too grainy, right? I'm losing too much there. It's still not too bad. But when I went down to 125, instead of over here, I had it at 250, go down to 125. It just brings back that little bit of light that makes a huge difference in this photo. I mean, this thing is grainless with that Lightroom denoising. How cool is that? So here we go. We saved a photo. We went from that to that, which is actually something pretty cool and moody. So I hope you like this. I love Lightroom, love doing this stuff. And if you have any questions, throw them below. We'll talk to you later.